Got Julia here again today, everybody. Big round of applause for her. And thank you, Erica. It's been a real blessing. Last month was our first session. This is part 2, and we're going to be talking about the Big Bang today. And as you said, there's a bake sale with the table over there. And there's also a creation group that meets at Big Calvary. They meet the first, which is today, and the third Saturday of every month at 7:30. And their website is darwinisdead.com if you want to look that up. So there's more and more opportunities to hear a creation message. My website, as you might know, is fishdon'twalk.com. So anyways, okay. On the way in, we did a quiz on how deep can an emperor penguin dive. Now that's an emperor penguin there. How many people have taken part of the test? Okay, this is on the honor system. If you've taken it, why don't you stand up? Okay. If you said less than 100 feet, please sit down. If you said less than 200 feet, please sit down. 300 feet, sit down. 400, sit down. 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, 1,200, 1,300. The answer is 1,500 feet. Now, how many people here? Well, I saw your answer. You're not going to win. What were your answers? What's some of you that were the last to sit down? I can't see that far.
35,000.
How many?
35,000.
35,000. Well, who thinks they're close to 1,500? Yes.
I guess 1,000.
Okay, can anybody beat 1,000 feet? Any of you? Okay, Julia, next one. You got it. And next one. There's the answer there. Can anybody beat 1,000? Okay, you win a prize, Eggman. Come on up. Before he goes, next one. There's a magazine that is really incredible. It's called Answers Magazine. It's by a group called Answers in Genesis. I'm going to give it to him. This month's issue, actually it comes out 4 times a year, every 3 months, is on astronomy. The reason I love it, it's on our level. They're not trying to impress PhDs. It's very simple astronomy, and that's what this issue is. You can have it for free. And they have an article on the emperor penguin. They always have articles on animals. They have articles for kids. Oh, and my wife is teaching a kids lesson. If you're a 1st through 5th grader and you'd like to hear her lesson perhaps, she's in the 5th grade room, which is around the corner, for your information on that. Now, if anyone is interested in seeing what the subscription is like for the Answers magazine, I'm not making any money off it. You can grab one of these. I'm selling them in the back. I bought a whole bunch of them. They're only $5. That's how much they cost me. We have a book table back there. The astronomy issue is on the back table. And if anybody would like one of these, would you want to raise your hand and see the sign up? Okay. Could you come up and pass them out as well? So anyone with their hands up, please? Great. All right, thanks. And I'd like to share a blessing I had last month. Richard over there asked me if there's anything he could do to help me. And so I put him to work, and one thing I had him do is call a lot of local colleges and politely ask questions about what the current beliefs are. And I'd like to thank Richard for doing that, and that's going to be part of the lesson today. Okay, next one please. How many people have seen Expelled? How many people liked it? How many people did not like it? Any of you? Okay, well I saw it. I thought it was very, very important. And I thought of a Far Side cartoon. I tried to find it on the internet, but I couldn't find it. The Far Side cartoon is of 2 deers. The one deer looks really scared, and he says to his friend, "You're right, they are trying to shoot us." Okay, can you imagine you're a deer in the woods and all of a sudden bullets are flying at you? Well, one good thing about the movie is to be aware that people are not crazy about your creation beliefs, perhaps. But an important thing to know, too, is not everyone is like that in the colleges. There's been cases where evolutionists have been very friendly towards creationists reaching their PhD. But it's very important to know that there's a lot of people out there who are not crazy about the idea, and I think the movie did a really good job of exposing that. My favorite scene is when the guy talked about life on the back of crystals. Do you remember that? And it's on YouTube. Ben Stein asked the guy, how do you think life originated? He goes, well, one popular theory is that it started on the back of crystals. And Ben Stein said something like, how? He said, I told you, crystals. Like, why don't you believe me? Now, after the movie came out, a lot of the evolutionists said something that was surprising. They said, we didn't know that guy was in favor of intelligent design. What difference does it make? Do you give one answer to one group of people and another answer to another group? It shouldn't matter who the group was, but I think it was very important, and hopefully it'll get people interested in the argument. Okay, next one, please. Quick review from last month. We're going to rip through this. Next one. Now, true or false, just because someone believes in the theory of evolution, does that mean they're an atheist? No, very, very important. The most important part of witnessing is perhaps the most important part of comedy. You have to know your audience. You have to know who you're talking to, ask questions, and listen to them. Next one. Okay, the most important part of science begins with letter O. Observation. Today we're going to talk about the Big Bang. Comes up in every field of science. Next one, please. Steps of science real quickly. You can go through these quick, Julia. You start with an idea. Next one, you test your ideas by making observations, and then you come up with a conclusion. There's a lot of ideas about the Big Bang. It's important to see if observation supports them or refutes them. And next one, please. Next one. You've heard this. We can't teach creation in school because it's religious. Next one. Now remember, the debate is not about whether it's religious. Next one. What's the debate about again? Next one. Whether it's true or not. A lot of people have ideas about the Big Bang. It's okay to question those, but often if you question them, people will say, oh, you must be religious. Always bring it back to a pursuit of truth. And next one, please. Remember this guy? What would you say? Why do you believe in God? And right, I heard the answer up there. Next one. And next one. Design. Who remembers the fact that I like to share with people? Yes?
60,000 blood vessels.
Yep, 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Did anybody get a chance to use it this month? How did it go?
We didn't believe it.
Oh, really? How many did they think we should have?
They didn't know. We just simply thought that was an astronomical number.
Good. Good. Are you friends with a person? And you can.
My son-in-law.
Good. Good. Go to the internet. Good. I asked you if you're friends, not if he's your son-in-law. I get along great with my in-laws. But back it up with stuff on the internet and show it to him. Is he a believer or?
He says that he is, that he's new.
Okay, good, good. Well, you can always back it up and give him more information. And if you share your faith, it's not the worst thing in the world to be stumped and say, can I get back to you and do more research? And that's how you get better and better. Yes. Next one for you. 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Very good foundation to begin with. Quickly, we'll go through this. I'll help her out. A design is something you plan for. That is planned for. You see that on your driveway. You probably think that's a result of design, right? Next one. And we'll go through this real quickly. We'll talk about you. Some nice facts to remember. You have 75 trillion cells. Next one. They're all in the right place. Nobody has bone cells on their eyeball, hair cells in your central nervous system. Next one. Every cell does 100,000 chemical reactions per second. Next one. And we did the math for you. Really, a good question is, if you befriend an atheist, is how complex does something have to get before you would admit it's a design? Could anything be complex enough? That's a fair question to ask. This is plenty complex for me. Next one. And next one. Oh, next one. Should have got rid of that one. Okay, you guys remember the answer to this, right?
Right.
Anybody share this during the month? Yes, how did it go?
Oh, that was good. They just were like, oh, yeah.
Good.
It makes sense.
This is good whether they're a believer or not. Which came first, everybody? Nice and loud?
Two chickens.
Right. And next one.
The same place.
Good. 2 chickens. You need a male and a female. And at the same time, they need a functioning reproductive system. And for their reproductive system to work, they need a functioning immune system, circulatory system, muscular system, skeletal system, nervous system, etc. What do they need to live? the right food, the right water, the right oxygen, the right gravity. The evolutionists would say all of this happened by chance over time. I see it all as a beautiful design. It doesn't happen by chance. And which story answers the chicken and the egg? The Garden of Eden story. Never be ashamed of the Garden of Eden story, where we believe an incredibly brilliant, powerful, supernatural designer and creator made males and females at the same what? And he put them at the same
Place.
What did the place have?
Food and water.
Food, water, oxygen, temperature. It takes much, much less faith to believe in the Garden of Eden story than in the atheist or evolutionist explanation of time and chance. Next one, please. Okay. Now we're going to begin to look at an evolutionist answer to the chicken and the egg. And next one. It starts with the Big Bang. There's fantastic pictures of the Big Bang on the internet. Next one. Okay, just to be fair, it's good to know what people say. They don't believe it was an explosion. They believe it was an expansion. But anyways, we're going to learn some details on the Big Bang. Next one, please. Okay. I'm not sure if he's here today, but a friend that I really respect who loves volleyball and loves astronomy, I told him on Friday we're going to talk about the Big Bang. And the first question out of his mouth was a good one. He goes, oh, you're going to talk about that half second right after the Big Bang? Guess what I said? No, I want to talk about the half second before the Big Bang. Follow me? Many people who believe in the Big Bang want to start 1/2 a second after matter and energy is already here. For a reason. We're going to delve into that reason. Creationists like to start before anything appeared. You follow me? Okay. Now, a lot of evolutionists say, well, we like to talk about the theory of evolution after life has already appeared. And we have future slides on that. That's like saying, let's talk about the baseball game, but I only want to talk about the 9th inning. Creationists will talk about the whole game. We like to talk about the origin. And this is where you can see that our arguments are better than theirs. Next one, please. Okay, so Big Bang believers often believe, next one, matter and energy came from what? Nothing. They believe the universe had a beginning, but it came from nothing. They can believe that if they want, but they can't call it what? Science. Next one, please. Which law of science does the belief that matter and energy came from nothing violate? Anybody? Very good. Next one. The first law of thermodynamics. In my opinion, this is the best scientific reason to believe in God. Thermodynamics is a big, long, scary word. Don't be intimidated by it. It just means moving heat. But here's what it is. Real simple stuff. Next one. It says matter and energy is neither created nor destroyed. First law of thermodynamics is an awesome witness for you guys to have on the tip of your tongue. Now, does the universe have a lot of matter and energy? Yes, a lot. You could ask an atheist, where did it come from? What's your best explanation? They'll often say, nobody really knows for sure. But did you ask them if they knew? No, you asked them for their best explanation. Because even you don't know, because you were not there scientifically, but we're looking for the best explanation. That's why they want to start the Big Bang after matter and energy is already here, because they know the first law of thermodynamics is a huge embarrassment to their ideas. Next one. So, the universe did not have a natural beginning. So what do some skeptics do? I've seen this many times on college campuses. I talk to them and I say, first law teaches it didn't come from nothing. What will they often say? Any guesses? Oh, here, I'll show you. Next one, please. Well, it had to have a supernatural beginning. That's the best explanation for science. And next one. So here's our buddy. And what does he say when you say it didn't have the origin of the universe was not from nothing? Next one. Maybe the universe is eternal. How many people have heard that before? That's what they'll often revert to. Now, at the time of Aristotle, people taught that the universe was eternal. The third word of our Bible is what? Beginning. So if you had the Bible versus Aristotle for many, many years, everybody said Aristotle's the smartest thing ever. He's got to be right. The Bible did not adhere to the teachings of Aristotle. Next one, please. Second law of thermodynamics. Next one. Matter and energies are functions of what? Starts with letter T. Anyone? Time. Next one. Matter and energies are functions of time. Over time, things lose good energy and it becomes useless energy, okay? Like gasoline becomes heat. So you're not losing energy, you're just converting energy to worthless stuff. That's the second law of thermodynamics, which is a great law for us. It teaches the universe cannot be eternal. Next one. So if matter and energy are functions of time, the universe cannot possibly be what? Next one. Eternal. This is great news for us. The universe had a beginning, and it wasn't natural. Science tells us the beginning of the universe was supernatural. The first 4 words of our Bible nail 2 laws of science. Who wants to shout out the first 4 words of the Bible? Now this gives me goosebumps. I love this stuff. In the beginning, God. Universe had a beginning. The second law of thermodynamics, God. First law of thermodynamics. It's a book that everyone can trust and not be the least bit ashamed of. Next one. Okay, I want to talk about time a little bit. Time's an important thing. Does anybody here have a watch that I could borrow for just a couple minutes? You're in the front. Can I borrow your watch, please? Come on up if you don't mind. Thanks. Let's see what kind of watch. Timex. Okay, interesting. All right. I'm going to teach you about time. I'm going to put this bag, I'm not a magician, in here. I'm going to start shaking this watch. I want you to shake this watch for a few million years. And if the theory of evolution is true, perhaps over time, that can become orderly again, right? Sorry about that. How much was it worth?
Nothing now.
That was only a Timex. No, he's my buddy. And that's actually my watch. It doesn't work. The battery costs more than a new one. But anyways, shake the bag. Joel, why don't you stand up and shake that bag for a few million years? Now, he is providing energy. He already has the matter. Does anybody think that over billions of years that could become a watch again? No, if he keeps shaking it, what's going to happen? Is it going to get worse inside that bag or better? Worse. It's going to get worse. That's what thermodynamics teaches us. So the universe does not come from a mess. Next one. Second law of thermodynamics, simply put. If you get something orderly and subject to time, what's going to happen to it? It becomes chaotic. Just like this watch, okay? If you want something to get better, you got to take energy from somewhere else. Like we have some skilled carpenters here. They have to expend energy to make a house good. The net loss to the universe is always an increase in entropy, you see? All right? So in a closed system, like inside that bag, things will always get worse. Our universe is a closed system as well. Things get worse over time. Next one, please. The evolution view is that chaos plus time equals order. That smashed watch over time could become a good watch. Next one. What does creation say? No. We think order plus time is going to be chaos. Who believes in science when it comes to the second law of thermo? Us or them? Us. Next one. We do. Once again, science supports our beliefs. A lot of people try to be made ashamed to believe in the Bible and God. Science supports it. Next one, please. Okay, now we're going to talk about my box. The amazing box. I'm not going to smash this. It's my wife's jewelry box. Okay. Suppose there was absolutely nothing in this box. And we sealed it up, welded it, nothing could get inside of it. Over billions and billions of years, if we were to open it up, what do you think would be inside the box?
Nothing.
Don't you guys have any faith? Why couldn't I get a whole universe inside this box? Because you guys are logical and open-minded enough to know that you do not get matter and energy from nothing. But you see my point? We should have matter and energy popping up all over the place, right? If the atheist worldview is true, You're driving home, all of a sudden there's a star in the freeway right in front of you, right? You smash into it. No, if you close up this box, nothing is going to come from inside of it. But you, if you have the atheist worldview, you could get a whole universe in here with zebras and horses and giraffes and elephants, just like here. It's not going to happen. Faith in God is not blind faith at all. The atheists have the blind faith, the non-logical faith. Next one, please. Okay. That's why many skeptics hate talking about the origin of the universe. They will throw the religion card at you, they'll get emotional, always try to temper it, but ask them, how did the universe originate? Next one. Okay, some fun details on the Big Bang. I've seen it, you've seen it, a lot of people will say, yes, I believe in the Big Bang. Right? You've seen that. It's like the cool cocktail party thing to believe in. There's a lot of details you have to believe in if you believe in the Big Bang that you don't hear too much about. Next one, please. Okay. They believe that first there was nothing. And from nothing came matter and energy, and it expanded, and the energy became hydrogen and helium gas. And so, you've got nothing, you've got a vacuum, and all of a sudden you got gases expanding. Next one, please. Think. You've got a vacuum, you've got gases expanding into it, and you've had to have enough gases to make 10 to the 22nd stars. Not enough matter and energy to make a cap to a bottle to make all these stars. Is that a lot of matter and energy? Yes. But you got this gas expanded into a volume over time. Do you think they're going to compress because of gravity and make stars, hydrogen and helium? Or expand forever?
Expand forever.
Well, next one, please. Do you think they would form stars? And next one? Or expand to where the lower pressure is? I would say expand to lower pressure. Now, there's no doubt there is gravitational attraction between gases, but if you've got a vacuum on one side and some gas, it's going to expand forever. Okay, next one. Now, there's a law called Charles' law. How many heard of Charles? Good, okay, good. Now, if you're taking notes, you can write it down in your thing. But Charles' law teaches this. If gases begin to get compressed, they get hotter. When gases get hotter, what do? Expand. They expand again. So if they're going to say, hey, I'm going to become a star, I'm going to become a star, gee, it's getting hot, they're going to expand again. Next one. So I think Charles' law falsifies the origin of stars as well when it comes to gases. Okay, now, but they don't worry about that. First you get matter and energy from nothing, you get gases, they're coming together. They don't just come together and form a little cloud. They start having fusion appear on the inside. Think of the details once again. The first matter was only hydrogen and helium. Are you made up of only hydrogen and helium? Are rocks? No. So you've got to get heavier elements somehow. And the atheists have looked at this problem. So this is what they believe. The early stars came together and had fusion. That's where particles join together and make a heavier element and release energy. Next one. Oh, let's leave that one for a second. Here's a fun detail for our side. Fusion can happen. People are doing fusion in the labs. It's perhaps the answer to our energy problems when they figure it out. But with fusion, there's a limit. What's the heaviest element you can make in fusion? It's up there.
Iron.
Everybody nice and loud?
Iron.
Iron. Are there heavier elements in the universe than iron?
Yes.
What's a good question to ask a skeptic?
Where did they come from?
How did we make elements heavier than iron? And believe me, it's not a fight. You'll have so much more fun if you politely share with people. I was on an airplane once with a guy with a PhD in astrophysics, and this is a question I asked him politely. And they will always say that is a big challenge and a big problem for their worldview. Okay, next one. Let's talk about this. Who has seen E equals mc squared? Don't feel bad. Who doesn't know what it means? Most people don't. Okay, it's real simple stuff. Who does know what it means? I know Richard does. Okay, good. Teach it to you real quickly. Next one. Energy is equal mass times the speed of light squared. They are telling you, next one, that mass can turn into energy. Look at the equation. A little bit of mass can make a lot of energy. And this is what goes on into our sun. Mass is being converted into energy. You know, sometimes you think about the sun, it makes an enormous amount of energy. Such an incredibly small amount hits our Earth. When you look at the distance, the sun's radiating all over the place. Just amazing. Next one. So that's what that means. Hydrogen becomes helium. Next one. And 4 million tons of mass every what? Every second in the sun is being converted to energy. But don't worry, there's billions of years left. I remember a few years ago, this guy, I heard this joke. Someone comes up to someone and says, "Why are you so depressed?" And he said, "I heard the sun is going to run out of energy in millions of years." He goes, no, it's billions of years. Oh, okay, good, I'm feeling a lot better. Okay. But don't worry, God's in control. There's plenty of energy left. Next one. So the core of the sun shrinks. We don't have to get into physics, but the sun is actually getting hotter over time. As the core shrinks, the fusion is more intense, and the sun radiates hotter. So if the sun is hotter today than it was yesterday it was what?
Cooler.
What about a year ago? What about a few thousand years ago? What about 4 billion years ago? That's another problem for the evolutionists. The sun is getting cooler. Think of the details. Next one, Julia. They call this the faint sun paradox because they believe the sun, well, this is what physics tends to show us, the sun is getting cooler. Next one. The temperatures on the Earth would be below freezing. Water would have been frozen in the early Earth. That creates problem for their worldview. Next one. Now this one is fun. I only learned this yesterday. I won't bluff you. I took a college astronomy class. I'm not an expert in astronomy. I've read about it a lot. I've gone to college classes. A lot of this I only learned a day or so ago, and some of it today. But I had never heard this before. Evolutionists love to point out that the ancient rocks were sedimentary rock. That means rock with water that flowed and made a lot of our geology, okay? But it couldn't have been billion years ago because of the cooler sun, because you didn't have liquid water. You follow me? This is a great young Earth argument. And a lot of the life could have not survived. Life could have survived back then in the ultra-cold climate when they believe life originated, but not as plentiful and diverse as it is today. Next one. So our sun has hydrogen fusing from helium. Next one. Okay, so the sun's getting hotter. Billions of years ago, it was too cold for it. Next one. Sedimentary rock. And next one. A lot of life. Now the first stars, there were a lot of these first stars. Only hydrogen and helium and maybe a little bit of lithium. Well, they got to get to the heavier elements. Some of the heavier, or the early stars, they believe, had fusion and started to make heavier elements in them. And then some of them blew up, and other stars made heavier elements. Next one. So there should be 3 types of stars. Okay, next one. Okay, the first stars were called population 3 stars. Who's heard of this term before? Some of you? Okay. They had no heavy elements, just hydrogen and helium. Next one, please. Now the Big Bang people think these stars eventually had metals form and would have population 2 stars, and then these had more fusion to make population 1. Trivia question. Guess which one of these stars doesn't exist? There are no... Next one. Next one. There are no population 3 stars observed at all. And they should be plentiful. They admit they should be stable, there should be lots of them. 0 exist in the universe. And they do admit again, if you go to their websites, they say, well, this is a major problem for us. Next one. They just don't exist. The stars with just hydrogen and helium. Here's a quote. A good friend of mine got this. A very polite lady at UC Berkeley. He asked her this question. She said, it is a problem for the Big. Is it a problem for the Big Bang? Yes. But in all honesty, it's just one of many scientific problems that are certainly inconsistent with real observational science and the real universe for that matter. And she's a brilliant lady. She's getting a PhD at Berkeley. Now, why don't they teach this in the classes and teach there's a possible alternate theory? You follow me? But no, they just teach it. This is true. We're not giving up on it. But on the phone call, if you have friendly conversations, they'll admit there's all kinds of problems. Next one, please. Okay, another problem for Big Bang. Next one. All heavy elements were made by fusion in stars. We touched on this earlier. Next one. Okay, that's what fusion looks like. A bunch of energy molecules coming together can release energy. Next one. Once again, iron is the heaviest element that can be made by fusion. So that presents a problem we're going to address now. Next one. How did we get elements heavier than iron? Well, I've talked to people and gotten their answers, and this is what the standard answers are. Next one, please. Supernova. How many have heard of supernova? I have a picture of a supernova, everybody. Next one. Oh. Isn't that a beautiful car? How many Chevy people do we have here today? How many Ford people? I got a theory on that. If you loved your dad, and your dad was a Chevy man, you're a Chevy man. How many people would agree to that? If you loved your dad, he was a Ford man, you're a Ford man, right? I'm a Ford person. Why? My dad was. Anyways, there's no doubt that's a beautiful car. Next one. Supernova is the explosion of a powerful star. This is what they believe. So fusion is doing all it can. It's getting up to energy, to make iron. Bam! There's a supernova, a boost of extra energy to make the heavier elements. Comments? What do you think? This is what they believe. They got a kick in the rear end at just the right place to get more energy to make the heavier elements. Now, one reason I became a creationist is I used to believe in evolution. I was taught it. I began to get mad and angry at what I was taught. I simply said, why didn't they tell me all the facts? My main problem was with the fossils. Well, why don't they teach these details to the students and say there's an alternate explanation? Next one. I mean, isn't that convenient? It's like the cavalry just saving the settlers just before, times are bad. Need a little more energy to make heavier elements, and it comes from the supernova. Next one, please. There's the periodic table of elements. Iron is right here. All of these elements just happen to be made at the right time when a supernova hit, and it just went flying out into space, and a whole bunch of it just happened to come to our Earth. A whole bunch of it just happened to get into our food, and now it's inside you. Let's see some more quotes that they have. Next one, please. Okay. I took a college astronomy class, and I heard, I don't know his name, a PhD from Berkeley say this. Next one. Humans are properly arranged stardust. How many have heard this before? They say it a lot. And he said it with a twinkle in his eye, and he said, isn't that cool? And this was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant man. And it's just like, oh, how unsatisfying that is. Is he seeking truth, or is he trying to support his worldview? I don't think you're well-arranged stardust. I'll give you some reasons here. Next one. Now, I'll tell you a fact. I actually do shower. About 3 o'clock, I was taking my shower, and I thought, what would be a really cool slide? And it came to me, and so this slide is a few minutes old. Are we properly arranged stardust? Next one. What do you think that is?
What we're made.
Pardon me? Well, in your blood, this is something you should do the rest of your life. When you get a blood test, you look at it, you see all these chemicals, and you're studying it, going, I'm a little bit high in the bilirubin. I'm doing pretty good otherwise. You're not doing anything. It's regulated by, I believe, the hand of God. This is the results of normal blood. Some of these elements. And calcium, you got a narrow range. Chloride, copper. Do you guys know you have copper in your body? Okay, yeah. Iron, zinc, phosphorus, potassium, all of this stuff. You are well-arranged stardust. And from that star, somehow just this right amount of elements got inside your body. Would you believe me? Nope. No. It's amazing. Not only do you have it in your body regulates it, it controls it. Amazing how well designed we are. I don't think we're lucky that a star blew up made a bunch of copper, and it's found its way into us. But don't you find it fascinating if you're below 70 or above 150 here, you've got problems, you know? And it's so fine-tuned. What a beautiful, mighty God we have. Now, did we talk about hands last week? Well, I love to do this. Everybody just look at your hands. I'm not sure. Just say, God, thank you for my fingers. Thank you for my knuckles. Thank you for my wrist. What did you ever do to earn fingers? What did you ever do to earn a hand? Look what your hand can do. This past week I was speaking at a local high school and I just felt led to talk about suffering a lot. We had a long talk with a high school student who was depressed, but I was talking about, thank you for my hand and my fingers, and she picked up something like, look at what your hands can do. This is an incredible gift that you did nothing to earn. These chemicals are a beautiful gift and your body can regulate them. Knowing the fantastic gifts you get from God can battle depression. Everyone here gets depressed, right? If you don't say you are, you're fibbing. Creation can get you back into a good mood again. This week, we have a student, Ada, at work. She said something I'll never forget the rest of my life. She said, she went to Mexico to do some volunteer work, and she said this exact quote. I cannot believe how poor they are and how happy they are. How many can relate to this? Why are they happy? They're content. The typical American, say I could be guilty of it too, if you've got a Chevy, you might want a BMW. You get a BMW, you want a Mercedes. You follow me? You're always wanting more and more and more. The secret to life is to be content with what you have. And you've got eyes, you've got food, you've got hands, brains. Be content. Don't always be wishing for more. That's why rich people are the most miserable people around. How many would agree to that? My high school had rich and poor. The rich ones were the ones that were really messed up. They were always worried. They wanted more and more and more. Be content in Christ. That's all you need. And a lot can be taken care of from there. Next, please. Okay, and this is from a local guy that I talked to. Next one. He said if it weren't for supernova, we wouldn't be here. This guy has a PhD in astrophysics. All you can do is sigh sometimes. But you pray and you're polite and respectful. Next one. Beautiful picture. Now supernova, if they made all these heavy elements, they should be really common. Remember, there are 10 to the 22nd stars. Supernova are very rare. From what I read, our universe, our galaxy has had one in the last 300 years. Now, they do happen, but there should be lots of them. Now, this is what I believe to be true. I could be wrong. People have seen stars die. Never have they seen one created. Okay? Death of stars is in conjunction with creation, but they have not seen stars created. There's 10 to the 22nd stars. They should be popping up like crazy, but we don't happen to see it at all. Supernova are rare. I think that would be a big problem for the Big Bang people. Next one, please. Okay, antimatter. How many have heard of antimatter? Okay. Another problem for the evolutionists. When I say evolutionists, I mean people who believe in the Big Bang. Next one. I'm going to go through this real quick. Antimatter is matter. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Some people think it means matter from nothing. I've heard people say, well, there's antimatter. That's how the universe got here. It's not what antimatter is. When you produce matter from energy, you make antimatter and matter. Next one. And again, I'm just going to touch on this for a second because of time. Plus, I don't understand it. No, just kidding. Oh, back up one more. Page up. Great. No, I do. It's just an opposite to matter. It has an opposite charge. Next one. Opposite magnetism. So, next one. What do we observe? The universe has much, 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 much matter and very little, guess what? Next one. Antimatter. According to Big Bang physics, it should be equal. It's not even close. Good argument for our side. Trouble for the Big Bang. Next one. Now, I don't know, I just can't help but smile and look at that. More and more and more people that are not Christian, that are secular, are giving up on the Big Bang. Got this from Richard. They have hundreds and hundreds who have signed an open letter to academia and the public saying, it's untenable, it's not supported by science anymore. But so many people like to think, well, the Big Bang, if you don't believe that, you don't know anything about science. But it's dying. More and more people, they're not becoming young Earth creationists necessarily. Some of them are, a lot of them aren't, but they're looking for another model, but they have just as many problems. The bear is waving goodbye. That's what he's doing there. Okay. Next one. Okay, here's a quote. The silent embarrassment of modern astrophysicists is that we what? Do not know how even one of these stars managed to form. Next one. Here's another quote. A completely satisfactory theory of galaxy formation remains to be formulated. Next one. So they're often honest among their own people, like in the movie Expelled. They thought they were talking to their own people. Their public persona is often quite different. The problem of explaining the existence of the galaxies has been proved to be one of the thorniest in cosmology. Absolutely correct. Next one, please. Okay, when you read or hear anything about the birth of the universe, what? Someone is making it up. Oh, that guy doesn't know anything about science. Nobel Prize winner. Okay? Next one. And the same guy, the Big Bang rests on many untested and in some cases untestable assumptions. Indeed, Big Bang cosmology has become a bandwagon of thought that reflects faith as much as objective truth. Again, I hope these lessons encourage you and get you to talk to people. And if they burn you, say, I'll get back to you and do a little research, and that's the best way to learn, to have a little bit of pressure put on you. But don't be intimidated by these people and try not to say something unless you know what you're saying. And it won't take a PhD to learn what to say. Next one. Okay, some of the problems with the Big Bang: laws of thermodynamics, gas laws, laws of physics, the faint sun, antimatter, dark matter. And next one, please. Now, could God have used the Big Bang to create?
Yeah.
How many say yes? Absolutely, he could have. Did he? I don't think so. God could have done it any way he wanted. How many people have met Christians who think God used the Big Bang? Very, very common belief. There's a guy named Dr. Hugh Ross. We'll talk about some of his beliefs. Reasons to believe. How many people have heard of Dr. Hugh Ross? Okay, yeah, he's out there speaking a lot. A lot of his stuff is really good. Some of it, I would say, is really bad. Because he twists the Bible to accommodate a Big Bang. I'll tell you just one problem he's had. He believed that Neanderthal man was not an ancestor to humans, but something that God created and then killed and wiped out. God created dinosaurs, killed and wiped out. It's like bowling pins. God set them up, knocked them down. Set them up, knocked them down. And Dr. Ross believes in instant humans. He doesn't believe that you have ape-like ancestors. But he's trying to get into his mind, how do I reconcile a billions-of-year-old universe with the Bible? Okay? That's what a lot of people try to do with the Bible. They're trying to fit it into man's worldview. Okay. Well, the Big Bang believes suns and stars came before the Earth. They believe in a universe that is billions of years old, and that the Earth was created from gas and dust. Next one. The Bible teaches, when was the Earth created? Before the sun and the stars. How many days did it take to create everything? 6 days, and the Earth was created from water. Not picking on the guy, but this is what Hugh Ross talks about. The Bible clearly teaches the Earth was created before the sun. Big Bang people believe stars and the sun were created before. What Hugh Ross teaches is, well, and I'm saying this with a straight face, the sun was created before the Earth, but there were so many clouds on the Earth you couldn't see it. Oh, man. There weren't any people on the Earth on the fourth day, but that's what he says, and it's in his writings. Next one, please. Little Bible verse, Genesis 1:2. God created the earth on day 1, and it was originally what? Water. Next one. The sun was created on day 4. And next one. This is a great verse if you meet an old earth person. I've met many sincere, sweet Christian people who believe in an old earth and a Big Bang. And I'm not mean to them, but I do bring this verse up to them. The 4th commandment. 4 and 6 what?
Days.
The Lord made the heavens and the earth. And then it goes on to say, you shall work 6 days and rest 1. What does this verse mean to you? They'll often just say, well, it's symbolic. Ooh, the finger of God wrote the 10 Commandments. That's not symbolic to me. The Jewish people who knew Hebrew better than anyone never believed it to be symbolic as well. They're trying to fit their belief into the Bible, and it's not a very good fit. Next one, please. The heavens are telling what? Very good, very good. Next one, please. The glory of God, Psalm 19:1. And next one? And that's it. Any questions? Yep. Just a couple minutes, then you get your pizza. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, well, yes?
How does Hugh Ross reconcile saying that God, tried and this and then made a mistake, had to wipe it all? How does he reconcile that with God being perfect and being, my God is perfect, did it right the first time, doesn't need to try again? How does he?
Well, I've seen Hugh Ross speak, and he'll always agree with you. Tom, you can account for this. Tom, my buddy here who's videoing, if anybody wants a copy, just let me know. I don't know, a couple bucks for the CD or whatever. He saw a debate with Hugh Ross, and Hugh Ross always agrees with you. Oh, no, God is perfect. God is perfect. This is just the way he did it. I mean, he'll take the same word and give it a completely different definition. A fun moment, I was witnessing at USC, and I was talking to a brilliant Jesuit student. He believed in a Big Bang and an old Earth. The question came from nowhere. Perhaps it came from God. I said, do you believe God created paradise? Do you see where that question is leading to? And he was a smart, sincere guy. He goes, that is a very, very good question. Big Bang cosmology and old Earth is teaching all kinds of death, suffering, struggle before Adam and Eve even show up, right? We believe God created paradise. When did death, suffering, and struggle enter the world? When sin entered the world. So you could say it's a very cruel God who created it that way. By Hugh Ross's beliefs that God created something, wiped it out, created something, wiped it out, not only do you have a cruel God, but to quote Kent Hovind, how many people have heard of Kent Hovind? Kent Hovind said, you have a retarded God. You have a God who can't get it right. I'm going to make this. No, I don't want to make it. And then he wipes it out. I believe God created paradise, and Hugh Ross would agree with you, but then explain his belief that there was all kinds of death and suffering before the fall. Yes?
Is he a day-age
Yes.
believer? How does he reconcile the plants being on the third day and the sun showing up on the fourth day? How do plants
Excellent.
get fed?
Excellent.
And when there's a million years between them.
Okay, 1 second. Yes. Ecosystems are a great argument for a young Earth. Okay? Plants need the soil, they need the sun, they need the water, they need the insects. Makes all the sense in the world for an ecosystem to make everything all at once. Hugh Ross would say, oh, I'm not limiting God at all. By the power of God, he maintained plants for millions and millions of years until, well, he believes the sun came before the plants. The Bible teaches plants came on day 3, the sun came on day 4. But he would say God can maintain it until Adam and Eve came around. Now, one of the functions of man was to take dominion over the creation. So what was God waiting for? Why did he take 13 billion years before the people that take dominion even showed up? You see? And, last point, unless there's other questions, how many have heard of global warming? Well, I definitely believe this. If I meet someone who believes in global warming, I say, that's good evidence for a young Earth, isn't it? I want you to think about it. Suppose global warming is true. Suppose we're going up 0.9 degrees in temperature and everybody's worried to death that the Earth is doomed. Why is that a good young Earth argument? Yes?
Like you said, that if the sun shrinks, it's going to get hotter. Right.
Right on.
And do you think that's the case?
Yeah, that's good physics. The sun is getting hotter. But how could the Earth have been here for billions of years if it's so sensitive to a 1 degree temperature change? You follow me? They believe plants have been for millions and millions of years. A little bit of temperature change wipes it out. So they love global warming, but they don't like the idea of a young Earth. I think it's a good argument that the Earth is finely tuned and hasn't been here for billions of years. Yes. Oh, pizza's here, she said. So let's hear it for Julia. Okay. Okay, well, thanks for coming again. We have the pizza. I have the newsletter if anybody wants to sign up for it. You know what, I'll put this on the back table. Everybody wants to get an email once a month. And next month we're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about the human body and the origin of life. So, hope you enjoyed it.